This is Tomonews for Wednesday, February 1st.
Bronx woman unleashes pit bulls on unsuspecting man. Following video of a dog attack is extremely gruesome. Viewer discretion is advised. Shocking video has been released of a man almost being mauled to death by a couple of pit bulls on Belmont Avenue in the Bronx on Friday morning. 62-year-old Francesco Bove was walking to his job at a local church when he crossed paths with 55-year-old Cynthia Oliver and her two dogs. Bove says he thought the dogs were friendly because they were wagging their tails, but then Oliver released the animals. The pit bulls attacked Bove, biting him on the hands and legs and even ripping off his right ear. Dogs dragged the defenseless man to the side of the road. Brave onlookers intervened to try and rescue him. But then the aggressive dogs attacked them too, badly biting a 46-year-old man on the arm. The priest at Bove's church heard what happened. He rushed to the scene and read Bove his last rites. After 7 minutes, firemen were able to corral the dogs with a hose while a brave volunteer collared them. Said the dogs have bitten other people before. Their owner, Cynthia Oliver, has been charged with assault and reckless endangerment. As for Francisco Bove, doctors were able to reattach his right ear, and he says he doesn't blame the dogs, which have been taken to animal care and control of New York City.
ISIS claims responsibility for stabbings at Minnesota Mall. Hours after a Somali man went on a stabbing spree in St. Cloud, the ISIS-linked Amaq news agency took to Twitter to proclaim that the attacker was a soldier of Islamic State. The 22-year-old suspect went to Crossroads Mall Saturday night wielding a knife. He referenced Allah and asked at least one person if they were Muslim before savagely attacking people with his weapon. Shoppers lay bleeding in multiple locations as the man rampaged through the mall, going from Sears in the southeast corner to a Macy's on the north end. An off-duty cop confronted the suspect in the Macy's store, shooting him down as the assailant charged with a knife. The attacker died at the scene, leaving behind 9 victims. The 7 men and 2 women were taken to the hospital and are expected to survive. Despite ISIS's claim, the FBI is only treating the incident as a potential act of terrorism. 2 other attacks occurred on the same day, as New York and New Jersey were rocked by twin explosions. But though authorities suspect both bombings to be linked, they have yet to find a connection to ISIS or to the Minnesota stabbings.
Cell phone rage. Girl tries to poison grandma with pesticide. Meet Tatiana Lisa Nicole Johnson, a 17-year-old high schooler from Fayetteville, North Carolina. She's a dummy who tried to poison her grandma to death for revoking her cell phone privileges. You see, phone addict Johnson had been acting up, so, to punish her, 51-year-old grandma Galen Moody confiscated her celly. This didn't go down well at all. Johnson lost it and plotted her revenge. It was the Easter weekend and Grandma Moody was cooking up a pot of healthy collard greens. Johnson had other plans. She dumped poisons and insecticides into the mix. Moody had invited a friend over for the meal. The poison acted fast. She recalls going numb from the waist up. The 2 staggered out of the house. They tried to drive to the hospital but couldn't make it on their own. Moody and her friend eventually got to the ER, and doctors suspected a virus was responsible for their symptoms. It wasn't until the next day when doctors realized the pair had been poisoned. Tatiana Johnson has been charged with 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder. Being in North Carolina and over 16, she stands to spend many years in prison if she's convicted. Hey Tatiana, was it worth it? YOLO.
Pimple turns out to be a rare, fatal eye cancer for a 5-year-old girl. In Indore City, India, Arti Singh is just 5 years old, dying from a rare cancerous tumor growing in her eye. Arti suffers from rhinoblastoma, a rapidly developing cancer that develops from the immature cells of the retina. Unfortunately, Mr. and Mrs. Singh ignored the initial indicators of the cancer, mistaking it for a pimple. The so-called pimple then became a small open sore that persisted for several months. It wasn't until Arti began complaining of pain in her eye and poor vision that her parents took her to the village doctor. The doctor told them they'd have to take the toddler to a major hospital in nearby Indore City. The diagnosis doctors gave Arti's parents is grim. The tumor had grown so large it had devoured Arti's eye and spread into the 5-year-old's brain, so surgery was out of the question. The toddler's hemoglobin level is too low for doctors to give her chemotherapy, so they're only able to treat her to raise the hemoglobin level. If they can raise her hemoglobin level high enough, they'll be able to administer chemotherapy. But the cancer may devour her brain and kill her before then. It's now a race against time to see if doctors can save the 5-year-old's life. Her parents are distraught and blame themselves for their daughter's condition. They said they no longer care if doctors are able to save Ari's vision. They just want them to save her life.
Dad leaves 6-month-old daughter in hot van and puts her in the fridge to cool her. If there was an award for world's most careless dad, 33-year-old Michael Tadford would run away with the trophy. On June 20th around 9 a.m., the delinquent father dropped his 2 other children, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, off at daycare. An unemployed high school teacher, when he got back to his house, he forgot that his 6-month-old daughter was in the back seat. She'd stayed home that day with a fever. After taking a nice long nap, Tadford woke up in a panic. His baby, who'd been sitting in the minivan for 3 to 4 hours in 90-degree heat. When he got to the child, to his horror, she was burning up and unresponsive. Tadford later told police she was hot as a brick when he found her. In an attempt to cool her down, he brought her inside and put her in the fridge, hoping she would be okay. Unfortunately, this method wasn't working, and after trying CPR, he called both his wife and 911 to report his failings as a parent. Sadly, his infant daughter did not make it. Michael Tadford was arrested and charged with manslaughter.